Yesterday, I talked about reading a Paul Graham essay called How to Do Great Work. Today, I read several more essays from him. In fact, I'm kind of infatuated with him. I think his writing is very good, and it's connecting with ideas that have brought me a great new perspective. He writes a lot of essays, and the several essays that I wrote, which I will work to link below, which I don't really know how to do yet, but I will figure out, is How to Do Great Work, The Best Essay, How to Write Usefully, and The Age of the Essay, which I will work to link below. And throughout reading those, I think it gave me an opportunity to think a little bit differently. In a way, I would say that it gave me a little bit of permission to pursue ideas and playing with topics a little bit more, questioning topics and pursuing answers in a little bit more free realm. I think that we live in a world in which you're generally pursuing education, and in that pursuit is very formalized and structured, and really that can be very constraining. And so breaking free of that is something that I've always been working on, and I think that some of these essays and some of the writing that I read, some of the ideas in his writing have been very freeing. It kind of gave me permission to do the things that I've been doing in pursuing these videos and doing the writing that I've been doing and looking at effective communication from every angle that I possibly can. Is it something that I'm really passionate about? So that what this does is it's really had me boil down some of the questions and answers that I've been looking for. Because one of the biggest things that I look about or think about a lot is what truly is effective communication and why is it important? Why is it something that I'm crazy passionate about? And I think there's a couple big reasons that I came up with, or that I think I've distilled today, that really sum up my feelings on it. One of the big things that I've realized recently is how much trying to be a very effective communicator can tell you about yourself. You have to learn a lot about yourself in order to communicate better. Because in order to control your emotions, in order to control your messaging, you have to learn a lot about human psychology, and that's for your audience, that's for you, but also relative to your beliefs and your convictions. When you go to communicate, you need to understand your perspective and really the reasoning behind it, right? So that way you can be confident when you enter disagreements and criticisms, excuse me, as you pursue potentially difficult conversations, or just in sharing who you are. Because really communicating is interacting with the world, right? And having some confidence in it. But what I thought was really most interesting about some of this aspect is delving into a topic and trying to understand it better. And the work that's surrounded in that. And some of that work is recording videos like this and understanding and presenting points and figuring out the answers in what to say. I would have nothing to say if I didn't have an understanding. But as I do this more and more, I gain a deeper understanding. And that's one of the interesting things about some of these articles that I read, or essays that I read from him. By writing an essay, you're pursuing a deeper understanding. You're asking questions and then working on the answers to that, the correct answers to be able to share with someone else. I think that communication is something that's a part of every single day, right? It's how we interact with the world. And I think that we accept poor communication, but what poor communication really results in is a failure to realize the full potential of pretty much several things. It can be a failure to realize the full potential of your relationships, your intimate relationships and your friendships. It could be a failure of your family, failure to realize the full potential of organizations or groups or communities, and ultimately a failure to realize the full potential of individuals. I think that this is because, my perspective on this is because you get locked inside without an ability to effectively communicate exactly who you are. You never get to fully realize that. And in a failure to communicate in general, you never get to fully realize who anyone else is. And we can never fully realize the efforts and actions that it's going to take to pursue worthy goals. The level of alignment that's necessary and the level of dedication and commitment and conviction that's necessary to pursue anything worthwhile is significant. And when we're constrained in any way, I think that limits our ability to pursue those worthy goals. And ultimately, I think one of the most fundamental things that we have is communication. And in order to close some of these gaps or realize full potential, I think we need to be honest and direct. We need to have a high level of candor, which I think that we shy away from because it's uncomfortable, and because I think that I don't know if it's generational and over time that we're getting softer in an ability to directly communicate and hear feedback that is either negative or criticizing or constructive in nature potentially, but it goes against what we believe. Disagreement is hard for us to handle. So I think all of these things are pretty interesting. That's particular to communication, and particularly with it being effective. I think we tolerate poor communication in nearly every setting because it's easier to tolerate it than to call it out. But unfortunately, that's limiting our life, the full potential of life that we get to live. We never get to fully realize ourselves or others and the world around us. One of the other interesting determinations that I made in reading these essays is that I was able to connect journaling with writing, right? Journaling is the work that you're doing to better understand yourself or to gain a better understanding of yourself. And writing is really just trying to gain a better understanding of any other topic. I've never made that connection before, and so that was very helpful to me, and put in very simple terms in a way that kind of teaches me or has given me a different perspective. And that's one of the biggest worthy things from pursuing information at all or communicating in general, is to gain a different perspective that helps you unlock different corners of life or different ways of pursuing things that makes you more effective or ultimately gives you more enjoyment. It allows you to live a little bit more. That's my takeaway from today. Like I said, I will work to link those articles that I read, the essays that I read, below. I found them incredibly fascinating, incredibly helpful. He's got a whole list of them at paulgraham.com/articles. If you go there and click essays, you'll be able to find it. He's a very interesting guy. With my goal is hopefully I can learn to communicate like him one day. But ultimately, hopefully there's some takeaways in there for you. By pursuing this, I get to understand it a little bit better and hopefully share things that have been very helpful for me in order to just live a little bit more and realize more potential and unlock more potential in supporting others. So you can't lose if you don't quit.